everybody, I'm Tommy, and you are on the boat. What's happening? Hope everyone is having a decent day. Sorry that it weren't shows earlier. I'll explain in a minute. Tennessee girl, good to see you. What's happening? The Johnny Scoville, how are you, brother?
Greetings, my friends.
I'm glad that you were here. Taylor Miller, I'm glad you are here. Finding Door, what's up? Barbara Waite, Kristen Melinda, Kristen, I'm glad you're here. DS Kitty Diane, Lisa Palmer, Misal Smokes, what's happening? Thank you all for being here. If you saw the thumbnail, now this, Florida in the house. See, Florida gets it. Now this understands. Tell us where you're chiming in from. It makes it a whole lot more fun. If you saw the thumbnail on this, and you probably did because you're here, critical thinking is dead. Let's see what's going on today in the world of BS. Number one, they set up a tent in front of the house. You guys probably saw this. At least 50 videos were made about it. I wonder why they would set up a tent in front of the front door. Look, my guess would be that they're going in there to take pictures to try to figure out how tall that cat was. Everybody's reporting that they were carrying one of those things that has height measurements on it. They're going to put that against things like where the perp was standing, right? There is technology that you can do without that, but apparently you have to have it done beforehand. I know that when you rob banks, they can do it. But that's what they were going in there to do. And the reason they put up a tent is because they're sick and tired of all of those people with drones and all of those people from YouTube that are live streaming to the bad guys exactly what they're doing, right? This is kind of I almost said something bad with a minute in. That would not be a good thing. Now wouldn't have been a good one, guys. It's a little early on in the game for that. This is the kind of BS, right, that is absolutely hurting this investigation. I'm sorry, I've said it before, but we, the YouTubers, are not doing a whole lot of good. Oh, listen to that. I'm going to get demonetized. We in the YouTube community are not doing a particularly good job at acting responsibly. I'm sorry, but that's the case, right? This is not good for the case when people are live streaming every single thing that is happening. And amazingly, 38,000 people will sit on a live stream and watch the front door of this house for 7 hours. Yeah, don't understand that. I really don't. Hey, if you just got here, do me a favor and smack that subscribe button because it really does help. And you know what? The people that hit the bell for notification are already here. It'll let you know when I'm going live. So let's talk about it. Obviously, I don't need to spend 45 minutes on this. It's pretty damn obvious why they don't want people seeing what's going on. Are you with me on this?
I am.
They're getting tired of being watched, and I don't blame them. Would have been a smart thing to do that on day one. Right. Also would have been a really smart thing to close off this crime scene. A lot of people yesterday, there was a good rumor going around that the sheriff had retired. That would be nice. Barney Fife has most assuredly not retired. In fact, there's a lot of rumors going around that he's not being particularly cooperative. See, he wants to kind of spike the football on this. The Cheap Chick, thank you so much for the super chat. Hey, Relatable Reese, that's my wife. I'm glad that you are here. It's the hot blonde behind my left shoulder. I am of the firm belief that he wants to spike the football when this is over. He kind of wants to keep himself in this because let's really be honest. He started out by looking like such a turd. There's not a good chance anyone's going to elect this guy even for dog catcher, right? So he needs to try to rehab his reputation. And I am not trying to be cruel. A lot of people go, hey, you got to give the guy a break. I don't have to give the guy a break. There are people on this planet that do things that are so stupid that they need to be called out for it. And releasing the crime scene at hour 30 was stupid, right? Calling off the search at hour 30 like this thing was already decided. Oh, no, we know what's going on. No reason to keep this going was stupid. The Cheap Chick, thank you so much. I appreciate the support. Keeps us on the air, folks, because I'm not going to say anything that I should. I'm going to say all those words that YouTube tells you not to say. Not going to police my speech. It's not going to happen, right? Yeah, it's disrespectful to victims. I'm not going to say that there's a chance this woman was unalive. There's a chance this woman was murdered. It's not a pleasant word, right? But it is the real deal. Yeah, his career is over. And if his career isn't over, then something is wrong. This is not a person that should ever be in law enforcement ever again. Here's the other big one that everybody is fired up about. And this, people, is where critical thinking literally takes a nosedive. Who's with me? Are you ready? Let's see. What do we got? Is it this number here? I think it's that one. All right. You see this fella right here? This is a guy with 2 backpacks. And one of those backpacks is the Ozark backpack that you can buy at Walmart for about $10, right? There's probably about 200,000 of them. I did the math, and basing Arizona as in size of the market for the entire United States, probably somewhere around 200,000 of those have been sold in Arizona. Now, the reason they're sold is because they're a heck of a lot cheaper than a lot of the other bags. That's about a $10 bag at Walmart. It also has a lot of reflective stuff on it. But this guy here was at, not at the crime scene. Don't get all excited. That would actually make sense, right? If we were talking about that. But so as of today, it's this was 5 miles away, and the footage was obtained by outlets like TMZ. It's now under FBI review. This was recorded at 1:52 to 1:53, right, on February 1st. 5 minutes after the camera went off at Nancy Guthrie's house. 5 minutes. He's 5 miles away. You'd have to be doing 60 miles an hour. And people like Harvey Levin and some of the other folks are theorizing that maybe there's a chance that this cat right here, right, maybe this guy was in a staging area, right? Maybe this was a staging area for before they get ready to do the crime. Here's the backpack, by the way. That is the backpack that they sell at Walmart, right? There is a lot of them out there, folks, an awful lot of them. And I do think that they can probably track the stuff down that way. If you look, you see how it's got those little reflector things that they show in their ad? And he's obviously wearing them there. But I'll tell you where he wasn't, was 5 miles away, right? Within a couple of minutes of when he was allegedly doing what he's doing. And people, I swear to God, are having theories like maybe, just maybe, he drove from there and went over to the other location. I'm not joking, people. You can't make this crap up. But this is what people are currently theorizing. And it is the exact opposite of critical thinking. Let's go with this from a criminal standpoint, right? Shall we? This cat that was all, looking like he had on a balaclava, right? This guy here doesn't seem too concerned if people get a look at him. He's wearing his Sunday jeans. He's got on a sweatshirt, right? They're blanking out the guy's head because he didn't do anything wrong, right? This is just a guy that, maybe he's casing a joint. But if he is part of that crime ring, he's the guy that didn't get the memo that they're trying to make it so that people can't see what they're looking like. There's nowhere you're going to be that you're not on camera. But this guy doesn't seem too concerned about it. But the geniuses and the brain trust that want to keep you watching want to convince you that he's part of this crew right here, right? Because they look like they're on the same team. There's a lot of people that are going to be wearing these backpacks. I could have gone live today and done a show on this for an hour. I'm not trying to milk money out of anyone. Believe it or not, I really am not. A lot of people are, and they'll go, boom, breakthrough. This isn't a breakthrough. This is a guy with a couple of bags. The staging area for the crime is 5 miles away. Or the other one is the theory that maybe they just got the wrong house. So the house the address you were looking for the crime you're hired to do is accidentally 5 miles away. And the theory is, if you're going 60 miles an hour, you could cover that easily in 5 minutes. You have not lived in the Catalina foothills. If you think you could go from that woman's house, right, to anywhere in the Catalina foothills, those roads go like this, right? They go like this. They dip down, and you need a friggin' road map unless you live there. The way that they set it up, you have to understand that these neighborhoods are built in such a way that you don't have to look at neighbors. You don't have to hear traffic going by. It's a very kind of affluent and beautiful neighborhood. Hey, there's 350 of you in here. Do me a favor, hit the subscribe button, hit the bell for notification. It's the only way that it makes me feel like I'm doing a decent job. Last night, 2,000 of you smacked the like button. It really has done beautiful things for my, my well-being. Makes me feel like I'm doing something. Lottie, thank you so much. I really appreciate the super sticker. I really, really appreciate that. I'm telling you, folks, they don't like pushing us. Last night, we got all of that love because you guys made that happen. For real. It's not the algorithm helping me. It's you guys. I dig that. You know what? I'll put that up there real quick because it was a good show. Reese, great show tonight. Had to watch while I was working. Miss live chats. Well, it's not as much fun when you're not in a live chat, but it was a great show. So here's the deal, people. There's no chance in hell you're getting from there 5 miles away and doing it at 60 miles an hour. I don't care if you are Mario Andretti. It's just not the kind of roads you could do this at. And we've heard this ad nauseum, right? There aren't streetlights. There are some sections of the Catalina foothills that have streetlights, but they dim the ever-loving snot out of them because the idea is you're not trying to kill with light pollution, right? You want people to be able to look up in the sky and see the stars. Nobody drove 5 freaking miles, right, in 5 minutes in the Catalina foothills. And if you did, you killed somebody. I promise you, it's just not that kind of place. It's very, very rugged roads. It's designed that way. Roberta says 350 people in here and only 117 of you have hit it. You don't want Roberta angry. You really don't.
I've seen it.
Yeah. She's Johnny's seen it. She's no fun when she's angry. How can anybody believe that these people are in cahoots together? That whether you believe that the jerk that went to the front door was doing a professional job, he was. And there are people that are going to say all kinds of theories and all kinds of stuff about this. And I'm not arguing with anybody. Everyone, I love people's theories, man. I dig it. I really do. But that guy right there is not someone that's walking up that doesn't know there's a camera there. You understand? His head is already down and to the left, and he walks up there and then immediately goes to the glove over the camera. Now, he doesn't do a very good job, but he's absolutely making an effort to not be filmed. And then he went a little bit further to put on a balaclava, right? That's kind of looking like you don't want to be filmed. And if you look at this, he's got gloves that look as if they're tucked up into his sleeve. This is a guy that doesn't want to leave DNA. I'm not saying he's a pro, but I'll tell you something. He sure as hell ain't that guy or part of that crew, right? This is a dude that is not dressed that way. He's not wearing gloves, right? You're 5 miles away in a staging area. If you're going to rob somebody, and this isn't a robbery, but if you're going to rob someone or you're going to kidnap somebody, you don't want somebody in your crew 5 miles away waiting for a phone call. That is the dumbest. These theories, people, and I understand that you got to come live, right? If you're trying to make a living doing this, you kind of have to do it where you go live and you talk to people, right? I get that. I absolutely get that. But I'm not putting out ridiculous theories so that people can have something to talk about. I mean, that's absolutely stupid. I realize that we need every lead we can get. 18,000 leads allegedly have come in on this, right? People reaching out, and a lot of them are people from YouTube that are watching this and going, I got an idea how this was done. And they're reaching out to that tip line and going, no, look at this. There's this guy, blah, blah, blah. The FBI has to track down every single one of those. How many agents do you think it's going to take to go through 18,000 leads? It's better than having 5, right? But you can absolutely screw up an investigation if every single person in the world throws up a ping pong ball at the same time and you go, grab the one that has the number 8 on it. I mean, the needle in the haystack now is trying to pick out leads that aren't friggin' ridiculous from leads of people that send their shit to Harvey Levin, right? I mean, Harvey's got to stay on the air. I swear to you people, go ahead and sue me, Harvey. I live in South America. But I wouldn't be surprised at all if Harvey's not doing this shit to stay relevant. Honest to God, I wouldn't. I don't understand how 5 minutes, 5 miles away could be having something to do with this. If you got to get, my theory is that if I were going to do this, I'm not saying this is how it went down, but if I were going to commit this crime, I would need 3 people. I would have somebody that was going to knock out that front camera. Somebody went through the back door, right? Maybe the guy that knocks out the camera goes around to the back. I don't know, right? Because you want to show an overwhelming show of force. You want to go in and overpower the person, and you're going, she's 84 years old. If she has a Smith & Wesson, she's no longer 84 years old. And that guy's carrying a piece where his penis ought to be. He's trying to display that thing to the entire world to scare people. And the balaclava ought to do that too, right?
I wouldn't be a bit surprised if it had a red tip.
Johnny Scoville says, I wouldn't be surprised if that gun had a red tip on the end of it, meaning it wasn't a real gun, it was a toy gun. And it might be. It may be there for show because he certainly put it in a place where he wanted people to see it, right? And I know that they're tracking down where all of these backpacks were purchased. They're going to do all of the homework required because that's usually how they catch people, believe it or not. I talked about this on the late show last night. And if you've never caught the late show, why not? The late show is fun, people. If you've never caught the midnight show, you really ought to. But we were talking about stuff last night, and the bomber from that blew up that bomb in Washington, D.C., it took years to get this guy. But there was one bomb that didn't go off. They disassembled it and started looking at the wires and seeing the numbers on the side of the wires, figuring out where those things were manufactured, what places in that town sold it, and going through all of this, right? And chasing it down piece by piece by piece by piece by piece, right? And that's kind of how this stuff gets solved. They go, and if you're dumb enough, this guy went to Walmart and bought that bag at Walmart and bought the code at Walmart, they're going to catch him, right? Pros aren't going to do that. They're going to piecemeal this shit out. They're not even going to do it in the same city. They're going to buy, and they're not going to pay with a credit card. That doesn't mean that they're not going to be able to trace you because there are cameras in Walmart. And when you're checking out, they're assuming you're stealing something. Those cameras are actually fairly brutal, and they're pretty good at tracking people. If you're into true crime, you have watched all of this. Education is useless. The criminal is watching law enforcement from next door. What's sad, lucky me, is that they wouldn't be if this was just standard media. Sadly, that's the truth. But this media, I'm not a journalist, right? I'm an ex-bank robber. And I come on and talk about this from a different side of the angle. Hey, Kathy, good to see you. It's not the same thing. Journalists used to have journalistic integrity, right? The fact that Carlos, that everyone on the planet, the fact that Carlos is known by everybody on planet Earth. We know his name. We should have never known his name, right? You can't blame that on law enforcement. That was somebody that was interviewing the mother and someone yelling in his ear, what's his name? What's his name? What's his name? And then we come out with Carlos's name and half the world thinks he's a sex offender now because someone with the same name was. I can tell you how bad that feels. I promise you. Blood on the porch. There are drops, but I haven't heard anyone talk about the splatter. A lot of blood, also flowers, brush on top of blood. Any ideas? The brush on top of blood thing, I've heard a couple of people talk about this. If he dropped those flowers anywhere on that porch, they could have blown on top of the blood, right? Could have. But as far as I'm no blood splatter expert. I'm really not. It's not my field of expertise. I have, however, been punched in the nose a lot, and bloody noses are incredible for making puddles of blood really quickly. On the other side of this, getting shot in the head will leak out too, right? Here's the other thing. There are a lot of people now coming out of the woodwork talking about different kinds of information. And I listened to a guy today on a podcast. He's a doctor. I don't know if he's right, but I listened to a guy on a podcast. So I will stipulate that I talked to a doctor that told me the exact opposite in person. But this doctor said that depending on what the pacemaker model is, and we don't know what it is, there's a decent chance that that pacemaker could have stopped because her heart did. That's not what the guy I talked to said. But I heard a doctor. Now I assume he's a doctor. However, I could come on here right now and say, I'm Dr. Tommy Scovo. I'd like to tell you what's going on. Right? It's very difficult to tell by a podcast. But I've been taking for granted that her heart was beating when she walked out of that house. Maybe it wasn't. Right? And that's a bummer. I'm not, but this is true crime. It sucks, but it is what it is, right? Do I think bounty hunters are looking for him? I think a lot of people are coming out of the woodwork to get in on this. There's a crap load of private investigators in Tucson right now. Do I assume that skip tracers probably joined that? Yeah, I bet. I absolutely bet. And I would imagine that there are people. Someone asks if the tomato is still in play. Until this thing is solved and it isn't him, you're never going to convince me it's not him. Now, could I be wrong? Absolutely. But I'm critical thinking this thing. I'm looking for a motive, and I'm looking for anybody that sticks out as doing things that don't make sense to me, right? As a criminal, you start getting really stressed out, right? And you do things that don't make freaking sense. If my mom, God forbid, because she's probably watching, but if my mom, God forbid, came up missing, none of the brother-in-laws, sister-in-laws, any of the in-laws would be invisible. They would all be standing there because they all love my mother. And none of them would run from the paparazzi pulling their shirt over their head looking like Justin Bieber, right? That's what got me. And granted, look, Ashley Banfield, I have mad respect for her. I do. And when she came out and said she has a source, I believe her. I absolutely believe her. And I tend to believe her source. The reward cash went up to $100,000, which is a lot better than $2,000, and it's a lot better than $50,000. It ain't enough. It isn't enough. And Harvey Levin at TMZ, just about the time you thought, I don't need to look at this guy for a while. Well, I'll be damned. Somebody sends him another email. And this email was from allegedly the same cat that sent the email, the last one, number 3. So this would be 4, I guess, for Harvey Levin or some stuff. But this one says, hey, the reason that he's reacting to everything we're saying, the reason I don't go straight to the FBI or the police is because I don't want the entire world to call me a snitch. I don't want to snitch for the entire world. If you're listening, go to the FBI and say, I'll give you this information. It's got to be anonymous. I don't want the world knowing I'm a snitch. Of course, you're an idiot. You should write a book, right? But it's a little late for that because you held out. If you had this information, and they don't, he wants 1 Bitcoin, right? It's $100,000 now, fool. You can get 2 Bitcoin. Go hand it over. No one has that information. It's absolute bullshit. The band member has not been found, but allegedly they're still watching his place. I'm concerned that the band member isn't found. I'll be honest with you. And I saw somebody today say, no, they know exactly where he is. Yeah, the neighbor doesn't say that. The neighbor says they're parked outside looking for him. They're not leaving. They're waiting for this fool. But he's in the wind. And the great band that they're in, what's it called? Shit Past, or what is it?
I don't remember.
Shit History, Dark Past, Before the Dark. I don't know. It's a terrible band. But the band members took all of their stuff off of social media the day this happened. Why? You're in a rock band. This would be an opportunity for your rock band to get heard by some people. Everything this fool does doesn't make sense. I'm sorry. Nothing he does makes sense, right? If this was my mother-in-law, right? And I don't know how well my mother-in-law likes me, but if it was my mother-in-law, I'd be out there. I'd be supporting the family. And if the press was there, I'd be in their face because the press isn't your enemy. They're your hope. Hey, please pray for my mother-in-law. Hey, there's 500 of you in here. Smack that like button, people. It really annoys the YouTube people. I promise you it does. And then hit subscribe, catch that bell for notification, and then you won't come in 20 minutes into the show. You'll know that I'm going live. It doesn't make any sense how any of this went down, right? By the way, the Barney Fife is still on this case. He's not going to go away, people. This isn't the guy that's going to quit, right? He should have gone like this, like Pontius Pilate, and gone, the FBI can have this one, right? For real. Wipe your hands of this because you're not very good at it. And I'm sure he's a great grandfather, right? He's probably a nice guy, although the cops don't say he's a nice guy. They say he's a dickhead, right? The other cops that work with him. Do you know that the average detective that is working murder in that part of the country, right, in Tucson, has got about between 2 to 4 years experience? Go to New York and find the homicide detective and see how long that fool's been working there, right? I'm not saying that they're bad at this. They're probably great cops. What I'm saying is that everyone that's been there a while quit when this fool came in, right? They didn't want to work with him. Because if everybody is brand new, it's because everyone else took off. Smart people think it's a robbery gone wrong. They're not criminals. You don't rob a house at 2 o'clock in the morning, right? You're going to go into a house, dark house at 2 o'clock in the morning. I guess you could just be an idiot. But if you're a legit criminal, you know exactly what's waiting on the other side of that door at 2 o'clock in the morning, right? I keep saying this, but I've done time. I've met a lot of criminals. Home invasions don't get done at that time of the day. Home invasions happen when you're at dinner so that you know where every fool in the house is. They're sitting at the kitchen table, right? You can see if they're getting on their cell phones. You're going to walk into a house at 2 o'clock in the morning not knowing if somebody in there has got one of these. Where do you keep one of these? You keep it in your office. You keep it in your nightstand. My dad did. I'm sure my mom does, right? If you got a gun, you keep it next to your bed so that if somebody comes into the middle of the night, you can start shooting at them. And you could be 85 years old and be a badass if you got Smith and Wesson with you. You know what I mean? I don't see this as a botched robbery. I know a lot of people are saying this, right? But most of them didn't do time. Most of them didn't hang out with a lot of criminals. If it's a criminal, they're an idiot. They're an idiot. And then you go in and it goes bad and you go, well, no reason to steal anything, right? Shit went bad. No reason to steal anything. You're in the house and you were not in the house for 3 minutes. There's arguments about the timetable, but they were in there a lot longer than most cats stay inside a house. You didn't steal anything? Nothing? You wouldn't take a souvenir? Holy crap, your life might end. You'd have stolen everything in the house. Criminals are criminals.
Blows me away.
That's because these people were myopic. They may not have been good at this, but they had a goal, and that goal was to go in and grab her and leave. Allegedly, there was pain meds in there. I've never met anybody that won't take pain meds. They're diamonds. They're gold. You can sell them. Almost everybody is addicted to them, right? And if it was fent, you know how much real fent goes for? Not that street shit, but alpha fentanyl, the real shit. I mean, it's money. You're going to leave money. They didn't steal the gold. Gold. You can melt gold, right? They didn't take anything. Allegedly, allegedly, nothing was taken. Now, I don't see this as a robbery gone wrong. I don't. If it had been at a different place, it would have been different. Knock that off. Knock that off. I'm an ex-con. You don't want any part of this. I'm kidding. Everyone loves my wife. What's that? Do me a favor, everybody. 635 of you in here. Please hit that subscribe button. It's how I get all of my self-worth. And then hit the bell for notification. That's the Johnny Scovilles, usually around at midnight. Are there known serial killers operating in Tucson? I'll tell you something else about serial killers. Everybody assumes that serial killers are all geniuses, and they're not, but they usually are pretty good at what they do. And serial killers don't usually put on balaclavas and snatch people out of houses in the middle of the night. Now, there are people that did that. They usually don't have very long careers, right? If you're a serial killer and you're in Tucson, there are homeless encampments that are massive, massive. If you're looking to snatch people and kill them, doing it in the Catalina foothills probably isn't a great way to stay in business, right? But I like that thought a hell of a lot more than I like the thought that this was a botched home invasion. I just don't see anybody going into a house at 2 o'clock in the morning. I mean, you got a gun, but let's say she comes out with a gun and you guys get into a big shooting contest. You were bringing the gun just in case somebody comes at you, you're going to shoot. Boy, now you got some cops coming, right? Honestly. And people, I said that a couple of nights ago and somebody said to me, well, if it was silenced, that gun would be about 4 inches longer than it is, right? At least 3. That didn't have a suppressor on it. I'd be willing to bet a pinky on the fact that didn't have a suppressor on it. And by the way, if your version of a sound suppressor or a silencer is what you watch in movies, like when James Bond goes, that's not what happens, right? Just the action of the gun makes a shitload of noise. When the primer gets struck, fulminative mercury catches fire, all of that powder inside burns, and explosion happens, right? The casing is held in place. The bullet spirals down, and that gas shoots back this quarter-pound piece of steel that hits the back really loud and throws out that shell. When it slides back in, it pulls the next one off the magazine. But even silenced, it goes cack, cack. It's a big piece of metal, right? It's loud as hell. It just doesn't sound like a gun going off, but it's loud. It would get your attention. I promise you it would. Boy, you know what? I use StreamYard. I'm this close to shit canning them. My chat has been such a problem. I know that there's other people that are leaving comments, but I'm watching it on a different device because it's just not working on StreamYard. Taylor Miller says, hello, Johnny.
Hello.
Where's that good-looking younger brother? Younger brother? Somebody with a wrench hit him.
She calls it like she sees it. What can I say?
Tommy would look if he would. Yeah, Tomato would know if he looks. And this is why I love. Right. This is why I love the son-in-law for this. Whoever went in that house was very familiar with a lot of stuff. Doesn't mean that they've been in it. That person at the front door maybe never had been there, but they talked to somebody that knew that house. And to walk up to somebody's front door at 2:00 in the morning, on the other side of that door could be a 12-gauge shotgun, and they don't even have to come out and see it. Right? They take you out through the front door. Right? My wife's got a shotgun. That's if you want to go see her, she's got a shotgun.
They walked up like there was no threat.
They literally walked to the front door like there was no threat, and that they knew there was no threat. Right? That's a problem. That screams inside job to me. Love Cheddar says, I think it's the tomato. I could be wrong, man. You understand? I could be wrong. However, it's like if David and Goliath, right? You guys know the Bible, David and Goliath. David took out Goliath. If they fought today, the good money would still be on the giant, right? The good money on this one is going to be on the son-in-law. Doesn't mean, see that? My wife says, yes, I do. When we talked about my wife being able to protect herself at the house because YouTubers fans are sometimes crazy, she was talking about all the different guns. I said, you get a shotgun because you don't even have to aim it. If somebody on the other side of that door has a 12-gauge shotgun, they will kill you through it. But he walked up there like, no big deal. All I got to worry about is that camera. That's because that's what he was going to that door to do. He wasn't trying to go inside, right? In my opinion, his job was to go and knock out that camera. Why? Because they were going to bring her through there. They went in the back door, and everybody keeps saying the back door was left open. That's Barney Fife saying that when they got there, the back door was wide open, not left open, right? You know, like unlocked. It was wide open, like you could have walked into the back of the house. They're saying, right, that there was forced entry at the back, that there was forced entry at that house. That is the narrative that they're going with now, which means, in my opinion, somebody most assuredly went through that back door, probably with a pry bar or probably with a foot. The smart way would be a pry bar. And I'm not trying to tell people how to break into houses, but kicking a door makes a hell of a lot of noise. And if it's got, there are devices you can put on a door where if somebody tries to kick it in, you're going to have to go to the hospital after you try, because there ain't going to be any give in that door whatsoever, right? There are some really good devices. Gary Thompson, welcome. Thank you. You look fantastic in green. New member. Love that. A guy approached that porch entrance. He flashed the light to make sure where he was stepping. It was plain to see. Familiar, right? Even more familiar was when he was backing up, and people say there's no step up there. Whatever it is, step up, no step up, that dude didn't have to look where he was going. He was very confident inside that doorway. Too confident, right? For this to be anything other than an inside job. And again, I'm not trying to bum anybody out here, right? But this could be a sexual freak that wants to go in and rape an 84-year-old woman. Doubtful, in my opinion, because normally, according to psychiatrists, psychologists, the people that study this kind of crap, the older a rape victim is, that's right, rape victim, not grape, a rape victim. The older a rape victim, chances are the younger the person that does it. I don't know why, right? But this is something that they say checks out almost all of the time, right? So that then becomes an issue, right? Ride, you're all right. Seriously, I've never met anybody that doesn't love my wife, except all those people that hate her. And they only hate her because they can't love her. Well, Tommy, what is your theory on what happened in that 41 minutes? I don't know, man. I really don't. At first, I thought if this is a ransom, maybe they wanted to use the computer from the inside, right? By the way, there are a gaggle of theories that are going on about how this woman Nancy was going to expose some people that were doing a fraud ring. That is an AI generated video. That's not really the woman from CNN. That is an AI generated video. They don't even get the city right. They claim it's in Ohio, right? That's not real. There's another one now that's talking about a pedophile ring. This was an 84-year-old woman. She wasn't busting any pedophile rings. She wasn't busting any. She was just going to church, living her life, and trying to be left alone, right? This motive has to come back to what all motives tend to come back to, right? It's greed and money, right? Or it's anger because somebody feels like you got done dirty. We have 3 siblings. Only one lives in Tucson. And she most assuredly is putting a lot of effort in with her husband to take care of mom, who's a Christian. And allegedly so are the other brother and sister, right? But the one that lives in Tucson isn't. She's a Wiccan. And I know people are going to leave comments and say, the Wiccan, they're devil worshipers, whatever. Look, man, I'm not going down that road. And honestly, I don't care. But if your religion and your kid's religion is different, that does cause friction of some kind. If you think your kid's going to hell, it's a bummer, right? And I'm not saying they're going to hell. Leave me a comment and I'm just going to block you. I don't want to hear any stupid comments. I'm not busting on anyone's religion. Don't have time for that. But if you start looking at this stuff, I love you, Reese. If you start looking at this stuff logically, I mean, where do you see a motive? I see a motive for a dude that if this woman dies, there is absolutely going to be a home a whole lot bigger, a whole lot nicer, and in a much sweeter neighborhood right down the street that's going to be in play for these people to live in, right? And allegedly, she was left a inheritance by the husband that died. Susan says, I saw that fake video. And iRide says, haters are jealous people, Reese, with no life. They really are. And you in New York, you know who I'm talking to. Huh? How's business? Sorry, I got a Nazi that hates me in New York. I like busting his chops every once in a while. Literally a Nazi. I'm not playing. The guy's a Nazi. I just want to know why Neckbeard has the power of attorney over Nancy. So bizarre, says Taylor Miller. Everybody wants to know that. Well, at least those of us who critical think, right? But this whole thing at this point is about as bizarre as you can get. And somebody said this earlier. This was a case that absolutely had to be handled perfectly. And it's the case that they seem like they've screwed up worse than any other ever. Cynthia Turner says, I can't help but think it's the son-in-law. Yeah. Check if she got medication before her refill. They could stock up on her meds. Roman, if they're that good and they really were trying to kidnap this woman, they also live, right? They live on the Mexican border. It takes about an hour and 20 minutes to get to Nogales from Tucson.
You ever wonder if Savannah thinks he did it?
That's an interesting question. But hey, let there be light. See what happens down here in South America. Got to wait for the power to come on. Yeah, got to wait for the power to come back on. This is a place where you can drive across the border. If you get across the border at Nogales, you can walk into a pharmacy and buy anything. And I mean anything, right? They don't require prescriptions in a lot of Latin American countries, even for narcotics in some of them, like Mexico. Down here, they just do stuff that in narcotics, they don't allow narcotics. But anything else I need, like if I need antibiotics, I can just walk into a pharmacy and buy them, right? All that stuff. So if they were trying to stock up on their medications, I believe that this is one of those things that I don't think it's a kidnapping anymore. I'm sorry, I don't. I think they were trying to get rid of her. Now, it could have been a kidnapping gone wrong, but I don't think that the people that are sending these letters are the people that did this. I don't. Reese, after I watch Tommy Scoville's live, I'm going to subscribe to your channel. You do realize that once you subscribe to Reese's channel, we're picking one of those people and buying them a Ferrari. I'm not sure if I've mentioned that. It's all right. Don't look at me like that. I'm in South America. Can't do anything about it. So make sure you say on the next stream, hey, I just subscribed. We're picking randomly one out of the hat to buy a Ferrari. I mean, the family could have gotten stocked up. Yeah, the family could have. Here's the thing. When my dad died, we took a garbage bag full of his medication out of the house. And a lot of the stuff was different doctors. He would change a doctor. The next doctor would write him scripts. Or they'd say, I don't want you on that anymore. We're going to move you from Coumadin to this. But they had so much blood thinner of different kind around the house. It was ridiculous, right? It was literally ridiculous. So they could have that. That's a possibility. They're also looking at pharmacies. I promise you they are. The $100,000 reward is still an insult, in my opinion. However, if it was my mom, I'd be bitching at the government. I mean, you can blow $6 million a minute. Put up $1 million. Is it going to kill you? I mean, we're going into debt. What is it? What do we got? 30 trillion, right? How about $1 million for my mother? I'd be a little pissed off. However, if I had $40 million, I'd put up my own reward too. I'm not busting on them. They may be being told not to do that. Could it be seedy associates of Thomas? Maybe he owed money. Did someone dirty, payback, probably bragged about famous. It could be, right? It could be. There are people that target stuff like that. I don't think this is a random. I don't think that this is a random. I don't think this is somebody that saw them, and I'll come on and apologize. But I'm saying again, just like from the Bible, right? If David and Goliath fight today, and I'm betting, I'm putting the money on the giant. It's just logical and critical thinking. God will step in and let David win it. I'm still going to bet on the giant until that happens. What is your feeling on the black gloves they found on the side? Oh boy, did people shit on me about this. They said all of the people that are in there doing this stuff are wearing blue nitrile. The people who are going in and taking DNA samples, right? All of those techs are wearing that. They got people walking through the desert, right? And they're not wearing those gloves. They're wearing thicker stuff because everything in Tucson will rip your skin and rip your hands and everything else. But I happen to think that this is, you know something? How easy would it be to put down a glove for clickbait? How easy would it be to be the first person there that sees it? I'm not trying to bag on Brian Enton. I'm not, but we saw him with a box of them, right? These black gloves are going to be all over the place, people. They are. I hope it is, right? But once again, you're a mile and a half away from the crime scene. What do you throw your glove out the window? Because he didn't carry that woman or walk away with that woman for a mile, right? That didn't friggin' happen. So what did he toss the glove out the window? That doesn't seem like even a bad criminal would do that, right? One was found inside. Hold on. One was found inside the house by a sheriff when they first went in. Is that right? I didn't see that anywhere. But here's the thing. Was it when they first went in? Because let's be really honest, that crime scene, can you imagine if you got arrested for this? Do you know what my job would be? I swear to God. If I was the defense attorney, I would go, you found my client's blood at the scene? How many other people, right? How many other people's DNA did you find at the scene? Right? Did you find Brian Enton's? And I got nothing against the dude. I really don't. I would have done the same thing. It's not his fault. It's the idiot that says, yeah, walk up there and film. Do whatever you want to do, man. Yeah, do whatever you want to do. It doesn't make sense. It really doesn't. Hold on. I'm going to go back to that other one in a second here. Reuters, FBI didn't get access to the glove found in the house. Might have gone to Quantico, but it went to a private lab per the sheriff. You got to be woofing me. That may be one of the dumbest things I've ever heard. However, this guy holds the world's record for dumbest things I've ever heard. How about calling off a search? I swear to God, I'd have walked into that sheriff's office and stomped a mud puddle in that dude's chest. If that was my loved one and he's like, yeah, we're going to call this off at hour 30. Oh, I'd have killed him. Tommy, it seems that the border and cameras should have been, focused day 2 or 3 when they got there. FBI HRT team not review the border from Quantico. Why didn't you call in the FBI 5 minutes in? Because your ego wouldn't allow it, right? I was talking to my wife about this earlier, and she said she just assumed that somebody gets kidnapped or whatever and the FBI comes in. No, that's not how it happens, right? What happens is you end up calling somebody and saying, we need the help of the FBI. You make a request. That's why whenever you see the president, right, this one or any other one, say the full access of the FBI, the Department of Justice, everything, you can have it, right? Bring it in. You're still got to ask for it. It's your jurisdiction. This asshole didn't do anything right. Pardon me. Pizza delivery guy went to Nancy's front door. I'm so glad you said that. My wife literally thought I was kidding when I said that. Straight up, my wife was like, there's no way, man. There's no way. Yeah, I went to Florida. Why would you not have the FBI do this? Because let me tell you something, man. Very often, labs end up getting inundated with stuff, right? I don't think the $100,000 is enough, right? But labs get inundated. We talk about the Diddy case. I covered that extensively. Diddy had guns that had obliterated serial numbers. And they said, why hasn't he been charged with that? And people always laugh at me, but I said, they may not have tested him yet. The guns that they're going to test, they think that there's a body on that got killed a couple of days earlier. There is a hierarchy. There's not a million labs that do this, right? But right now, Quantico, I don't care what's happening in your life. This is going ahead of it. Like you got a case going, this woman could be out there. You want something tested like this by the best in the world, you send it to Quantico. I'm not a fan of the FBI. They sent me to prison a bunch, right? I never went there with a state cop. It was always the feds. I did federal crimes. But the FBI is good at what they do, man. They're amazingly good at what they do. Amazon delivered a package today and walked right up to, how does this happen? I mean, no shit. It's like the Keystone Cops. And it's not, if Nancy Guthrie was not allegedly still out there and maybe be able to find, I could laugh at all this. But this is friggin' tragic. And if this stuff is happening because of someone's ego, then we need to change some laws in the United States so that they can prosecute this dude. For real. If you act in such a way that stops a crime from being solved in a timely fashion, you should have to do time. I'm sorry, you should. Why was the white tent there? And why now? Isn't that scene contaminated after releasing it after 30 hours? Absolutely it is. That crime scene was put up because what they were doing there, they didn't want every YouTuber on earth to broadcast to the world. There are drones flying over that place 24/7. Honest to God, go watch today. You probably went there. 38,000 people in a live chat. We have 740 in here, which reminds me, I'm a YouTuber. Hit the subscribe button. Hit the bell for notification. Every time I go live, you'll know about it. And hit that like button. It really annoys the censors at YouTube. They put that up so that no one could see what they were doing. And what they were doing was taking one of those devices that has like 1 foot, 1 inch, 1 foot, 2 inches, 1 foot, 3 inches, all the way up to about 7 feet. They're going to go and put that by the archway, right? Where that guy was standing. Then they're going to take pictures of it. Now you can take it with a computer and put it next to it and go, that guy is 5'11". And they're also going to get pretty good at telling you about what they weigh. Trouble is he's a little padded up, but as a retired bank robber, I promise you they're pretty good at getting a pretty decent idea of how tall you are and how much you weigh. Oh, you know what? The problem with finding out whether or not Dominic is right-handed or left-handed isn't he the drummer? It gets a little tougher with a drummer, right? If he's a guitarist, you can tell, but not incompetent, says Roberta. Pride. Locals want to solve this, so they're pushing the FBI out. Yeah, but you know what, man? You can actually get a lot more love if you go, hey, we're bringing in the feds because this is what they do best. People will respect you. This guy isn't going to have any respect. Mop says, Sheriff has been acting strange about this since day one, like he could be part of it. You know what? Here's the thing. There are people who will yell, that's a conspiracy theory. Don't go down that road. It's logically, you got to go, you can't be this bad, right? You can't be this bad. And it does make people, whether it's true or not, this is why theories like this come out. Because when the people that are there to help are this freaking bad at it, you got to start wondering whether or not the fix is in, right? You really do. Became a big fan of mine since you started watching me. James, what a kind thing to say. You should check out my wife. Relatable Reese. Babe, spam the damn chat. I think Suzanne hired a private detective too. Wouldn't you? Savannah, why would you not hire a private detective? And no, I'm not busting on Savannah. She may be, I don't know. By the way, people are saying that doesn't look like, I don't think Neckbeard's the guy at the front door, right? I don't think that. What's the sheriff look like? He looks a lot like Frank Drebin from Police Squad. And I'm not being funny about that. I'm dead serious, man. Yes, I was reading it, Lisa Palmer. I meant Savannah. Susanna. Somebody had wrote Susanna. I meant Savannah. Michelle Bennett says, I'm feeling like it was a hit. I understand. And I think that it might be. But why take someone away from their house for a hit? You know what I mean? Especially, unless you want people to know it's a hit. And then what you do is go in and shoot them in the forehead. But if you don't want people to know it's a hit, and I know people are going to give me crap, man. I get ugly emails. But staging killing an 84-year-old woman with a heart problem is probably the easiest thing in the criminal business, right? You go in the bathroom and throw that woman as hard as you can into the shower, and she's probably not going to get up. And then you remove her clothing, kick the water on, and leave. That's a hit. It's a beautiful one, especially if you're looking for an inheritance or anything like that. There are some complications if they don't find a body. Even at 84, if you can't declare someone dead, your money's going to be tied up in probate for a really long time. Yeah, why Florida, though? I'm sure there are some great labs in the West. I don't know. Maybe Barney Fife has got a friend down there, right? For real. Nothing about this makes sense. And I mean, literally, not from the cop side, not from the criminal side. You're going to kidnap somebody, not leave a ransom note, right? You leave a ransom note that says, I got your loved one. Call me before you call the cops. Here's how you're going to get a hold of me, right? In the old days, you send them to a payphone, right? Or you say, I'm taking out an ad in tomorrow's newspaper in the looking for love section of the newspaper. But there's a million ways you could do it. There really is. 25-liter Ozark pack, black backpack, 5'9" to 5'10", average build is what has been reported. True. That is what they are saying. There we go. It's a male 5'7" khaki pants. I think backpack is a Oakley brand. It's the Ozark brand, $10. The one that it knocked off, because that's usually what is done by Walmart, is like $100 backpack. And there are a lot of people that hike in Tucson, Arizona. They probably sold a buttload of them. I turned AI loose on that, and they said probably about 200,000 over the last couple of years. My gut says everything that dude's wearing looks brand new, and that really could be a screw up. If you went out and bought all new clothing for a job, it's a really easy way to get hit. Natasha says that's every guy in America, 6'2", 220. Not every guy. Actually, I'm not in America. Any brand info on the shoes? I have not heard any yet. It's weird, the backpack they claim. Boom. You know what else is weird about the backpack? If you're trying to be a pro, man, I mean, honest to God, if you're trying to go in and do something like this, I'm kind of blown away that the backpack that they go with is this, right? You see those things right there that are shining out? I've done some crime. I usually put on dark clothing before I went out and did something illegal at night. This guy looks remarkably like a crossing guard I knew from Barnard, Vermont when I was in 6th grade, right? For real, you light up when lights hit you. Why in hell would you be doing dirt in this, right? For real. But then again, why would you wear a holster right over your Johnson? Nothing about this makes a lot of sense. I mean, people do put guns there, but usually not in holsters, right? If the holster is there, usually put it on the inside, not the outside. He wanted someone to see that gun. You follow me? If he was wearing hiking boots, he'd be taller wearing tennis shoes. There's some truth to that. Kind of negligible, though, maybe a half inch. Hey, Maria just subscribed to Reese. You're in that drawing for the Ferrari. Sue me. I live in South America. It's going to be a beautiful car. You look at the image with no backpack. It looks like he's got on shoe covers. What, like spats? Oh, you mean the kind of stuff that you wear so that you don't track up a room if you're a carpet cleaner or something like that? I'm going to have to go back and look at that. Don't see anyone using drones to search the land to look for this lady. Well, you know when the time to do that would have been? Really? Right the hell after it happened. Where if she was out there dead, she still would have been putting on she still would have had a heat signature. Oh, but they couldn't do that because Barney Fife had gotten into an argument with the pilot, so he was grounded. No shit, you can look that up. This guy really does look like he was trying. It almost looks like he's trying to tank this. And I know that that's ridiculous, man. No one would try to tank an investigation of an 84-year-old woman that's missing. But how the hell can you not look at this and go, 30 hours in and you call off the investigation? You have an opportunity to put a Cessna aircraft that has heat-seeking shit and you don't put it in the air, right? Any of these things. What are you laughing at?
Roberta's funny.
What did Roberta say?
She said, yes, why are you yelling?
Were they capitals? Why are you yelling? This doesn't seem professional.
Sometimes stupid can come off as crooked. And I think that's the problem with
I don't know that I agree with that, Sassy. It doesn't look haphazard. It doesn't look to me like a homeless dude that decided to rob a house, right? They got a balaclava on. The gloves are tucked up into here. They're not just rolled on. He's doing everything he can to keep from DNA leaking out, and he goes up there to knock out a camera. And if my theory is solid, and it doesn't necessarily mean it is, I'm just telling you how I would have done it. If I needed to breach that house, I got to pull a car up to the front door to get rid of that woman, right? Any doubt? You're not going to walk her down the street. If you've done any research on this, is an 84-year-old woman. I got to walk this woman down the street? No, I'm going to pull the car up to the front door. But I got to get rid of that Nest camera before I do that, or they're going to see the vehicle, and that's going to be a bad thing, right? So one guy goes up and takes out that camera while the other guy's going around the back so that they can gain entrance into the house. Then the woman gets brought out through the front door, and it's looking like she was injured in that process, right? There's some blood there. I hope that that's what it is, right? I hope that she wasn't killed and they were carrying a body out. But there's apparently not enough, DNA inside for them to think that she was murdered. And I don't know why you take someone out of their house to kill them, right? That's just a bad idea. Catherine, thank you so much. I really appreciate the support. Thank you for that super thanks. DSE Rhino, or is that Discerno? Yeah, either way, thank you so much. Newbies here from Fort Myers, Florida. Enjoy your show. Dan and Vicky, thank you so much. I really appreciate that, man. That means the world to me. And I'm not joking. It really does.
Tell us where you're watching from.
Yeah, Fort Myers, I think. There we go. Look at that. It's working again, people. Kind of goes back and forth. I'm running this on 2 because I'm telling you, if you happen to have a really good streaming platform that you own, reach out to me. I'm looking for a sponsor. Newbies here from Fort Myers. Thanks again. Handsome rascal too, aren't you? Look at that. You got to love it. Thank you, Dan. Appreciate you.
900.
And thank you as well, Catherine. I appreciate the heck out of that. People, it's what keeps me on the road. You can't say murder on YouTube. Did you know that? Like, you seem kind of stupid for somebody that does a true crime channel. They don't want you saying murder. Apparently, it upsets the ears. I can say F-bombs all day long. They don't have a problem with that. I can say things about people that aren't true. But God forbid I say somebody got raped, right? And they're going to demonetize me. Makes a lot of sense, man. Johnny has awesome glasses. Guess where those came from? My wife brought those in. What, you don't think we can get stuff like that in this country, do you? You can get anything here. 900 people, do me a favor. Please hit that subscribe button. Hit the bell for notification. And then you will get here way earlier than you did. Look at all the happy people that have been here the whole time. And then do us a favor. Tell us where you're from. That way everyone gets to know you. And then people act more like a family, right? You don't see a lot of ugly people in the chat. Everyone's nice here. If not, we hit you with a freaking wrench. Don't be mean to anybody in the chat. You will disappear fast. Former law enforcement agent said it's a clue that he went for foliage instead of using a tool from his bag or by taking out the camera battery from the back, like he might be a landscaper. I think that's probably a stretch. Here's what I think. Just my opinion. My opinion is whoever told him about this said, this is not a camera that's mounted. It's a battery one. All you got to do is pull it off. Comes off this easy. So he didn't have a screwdriver. He wasn't planning for any of that crap. Whatever's in that bag didn't have a screwdriver in it, man. What kind of guy robs a house without bringing a screwdriver? You know what I mean? Or tries to break into a house. Rookie.
We bring two.
That's right, man. You should have a couple of them. But they told him this was going to come off really easy. And if you were the one that installed it, it will come off really easy because there's a little tool that you put in there and it just snaps off. It's like, they give you a screwdriver that almost looks like the thing you're going to take out your SIM card with. It's that small, or like a key that you stick into a diary, right?
Steve Watts, do all bank robbers retire in South America?
Only the smart ones. Only the smart bank robbers retire in South America. Most bank robbers don't retire. The retirement community for bank robbers is usually in Lompoc Federal Prison. Those of us that quit can retire in other countries. I am a retired bank robber. When do I go live on my channel? Usually when there's something ridiculous to shoot down, right? Or I do a midnight show with Johnny Scoville, and that's pretty much been about 3 or 4 days in a row. I like to go 9 o'clock Eastern Standard Time because my beautiful wife usually goes right before me. She usually goes about between maybe 4 or 6, 5, something like that. Oh, wait, there you go. She just put it up there. You would have thought we were doing this together. Between 4 to 6 Central, and I usually wait. I don't like being live at the same time as my wife. Kind of seems disrespectful. Nice to be able to read chat here and engage. You're very knowledgeable in all bad things. I'm sure I embarrassed my mom. But yeah, I did spend a decent amount of time being an idiot. Is there a union for bank robbers? No, there's not. No, there's not. They do have a nice retirement home. It's called the federal prison system. Bank robbery is a federal crime. Found me by accident. That's usually how most people find me. From Rialto, California. Good to have you here. I appreciate you. What's that?
Pretty cool.
That's very cool. And he gets the game. You say where you're from, right? Then we put you up on the screen. Way more likely if you're saying where you're from. The backpack had a blanket to wrap her up and carry her out, Susan says. Yeah, my wife's channel is called Relatable Reese. Reese, will you damn spam this chat? I think that it could have had a kill kit in it. I'm sorry. It also could have had a rape kit. I'm not trying to bum anybody out, but it could have had a kill kit. You got a tarp, right? Things like that. It also could have been a rape kit. And yes, there are rape kits. People have like duct tape. You know who was famous for one?
Yeah.
Theodore Bundy always had one with him. He would have zip ties. He would have handcuffs. What's that? So did Bernardo. Always had a. If you're a true crime aficionado, Bernardo always had a kit too. Having something to incapacitate somebody and zip tie him and do all of those crazy stuff. That's the kind. Denton, Texas.
I used to live there.
Johnny Scoville spent some time in Denton, Texas, and I mean visiting. He didn't.
474 Windsor. That's where I lived.
No, don't tell people that. Have the police found the guy in the video from 5 miles away? I don't know, but that poor bastard doesn't need to be found. The hell did that guy do wrong? At least they blanked his face out, because I'll tell you something, a YouTuber's going to tell you his name. The law enforcement won't, but some YouTuber will ruin that dude's life. You think Carlos is having a normal day? Huh? You think Carlos is having a decent time driving around and doing DoorDash? Carlos, if you're watching, I'm sorry. It's not shit I'm ever going to do again. I'm telling you, man, I'm never running with anybody's name on my channel again until that person is arrested. I took the video down. How's that? Find anyone else that did that. I took down the video. I'm not going to have a video up there smutting some dude that didn't do anything wrong. It's absolutely awful, man. Absolutely awful. Yes, and they counted them out. Duh. I wonder how many people they had to put on that. I'm sorry, man, but a lot of the tips that are coming in are just downright stupid. Jacqueline, how am I saying that right? Jacqueline Moylan. Yeah, Jacqueline N. Moylan. Enjoying your content after the algorithm got its shit together. Just followed up a couple days ago.
Followers did.
Yeah, I'll tell you something right now, man. That ain't the algorithm. The algorithm hates me. I say all the wrong stuff. Truthfully, man. Look, I've been doing content the exact same way for a very long time. But what happened is they put that damn hype feature in for real. And it started out, I'd get 40 or 50 hypes, and then I started getting a couple of hundred. And now people hype the hell out of the channel. And it is a way to override the sensitive people at YouTube that think that it's okay to say grape, right? When some jerk off holds down a woman, rips her clothing off, and has sex with her. Grape.
If you get 2,000 people in chat, someone has it.
That's right. You know, and look, especially my channel, right? I'm a recovering heroin addict. That's why I robbed banks. And for the first couple of years, all I did was help people get sober, right? So I talked to a lot of people who were sexually assaulted and molested as kids. I got to say words like molested. I'm not doing that shit. It's offensive to victims, man. It's offensive to victims. So I do love that people are supporting now. It's fantastic. And you know what? Maybe we'll get YouTube to back the hell off on acting like idiots, right? For real. I mean, here's the thing. Even if they demonetize, there are still commercials on it. They just mean we're keeping your money. Thank you, Jacqueline. I really appreciate you. Maybe we can force them to really get their shit together. And none of the videos are related to Bitcoin, but right at the closest food pantry, free meals is also a Bitcoin service right next to the free meals. Google it. Yeah, but I don't think someone who's asking for that kind of Bitcoin, right? If you say I need 75 Bitcoin, I don't think you're probably grabbing it off of the closest food pantry. And I'm not busting balls about that. But whoever said this stuff so if the ransom notes are real, they understood enough to be smart enough, right? Advanced enough to understand that there is a way to hide where you send a message from, right? Honestly, intellectually, it's pretty sharp. The way that the emails got to the people that they were sending it out to, right? Literally, that's pretty damn intelligent. However, they don't really understand Bitcoin very well. And I'm going to have somebody in my chat say, heard of you from the late Mike Malloy. Oh,
someone in my chat said,
really love your content so far and your allegedly jokes. Keep it up in the coverage. I listen to you on headphones. Lucky. I love that. Poor Mike. I think you're correct. If it was a robbery, they would have taken something. Who goes in and when the robbery goes wrong, goes, screw it, let her keep all this shit? Does that make any sense? Let me tell you something about burglars and robbers. I didn't hurt people. I wasn't a violent criminal. I stole things, right? And not from people. I wasn't the guy that went into people's houses very often. If I did, they were drug dealers. But I robbed banks. I robbed stores, things like that. But I promise you, you go in the door, you're stealing something, right? You're pot committed at that point. Any gamblers in here? It's pot committed. There's no backing out. Steal everything in the freaking house. And by the way, if you were trying to do something else and it went wrong, then you make it look like a burglary and you steal everything in the friggin' house, right? Put it all and bury it in the desert, right? For real. That's your best bet. But I don't think it went down anything like that. I really don't. Look, there was a single-mindedness to what this person does. Whether you think that they are a professional or not, that's debatable, right? We can debate that forever. But they weren't trying to steal shit. They weren't. And he didn't walk up to that door and do this one and look around like, hey, what kind of door have we got here? First of all, that storm door, try getting into one of those. I promise you. Try getting into one of those. They're there because it's very difficult to get through that to then get to the other one. In fact, I have one here, right? Those doors that you put up on the outside of your house, everyone in Ecuador has one of those. You're not getting through that first one. It'll take you an hour, right? So, I mean, if you got time on your hands, you're a cop. But if you're trying to do a break-in, you just walk by that house. They went up to that front door, saw that grate and didn't go, I'm leaving. He could have seen that grate from the driveway and gone, I'm not getting through the front door, right? I'll go around the back. Went right up. His job was to get rid of that camera. And I'm not saying they're professional, but he was myopic. He knew what he was there to do, right? Focused, single vision, 900 of you. Goodness gracious. Do me a favor and hit that subscribe button, hit the bell for notification.
It really does make a huge difference.
It makes a huge difference. And then every time I go live, you'll know about it. And if you hit that like button, maybe someday we will tell YouTube that it's okay to use the English language. I don't know. It just makes sense. Follow the money. Yep, that's a great piece of advice, Southie girl. Yeah, usually, see, are you a criminal? Usually the FBI hooks them up and pulls them off with a vehicle. Roddy, you're absolutely right. That is usually what happens. They hook up a hook to it, and that big Bearcat thing that looks like a tank, that we bought one for every big city police department in the U.S. because you got to have a kick-ass RV if you're in the cops. And they pull it right off of the door. Then they breach the one behind it with one of those big, like, 100-pound things that they swing with a big thing on the end of it that says knock, knock written on it and chop because they all think they're funny. Can we talk about the Nest Cam? Where did the subscription cancel? Who used to pay? Well, here's the thing. Some people never, ever, they didn't say it was canceled, right? They said that they didn't have one. Very often, when you buy that thing, right, so far they are successful, possibly professionals. They got away with it, right? They snatched the person and left, which by definition is kidnapping, right? It is. That's kidnapping. You grab someone and run out the door. You grab a cat, it's catnapping. Grab a person, run out the door, it's kidnapping.
Tell her to move to the next window.
Right? Yeah, you tell a teller in a bank, after you give me that money, go down to the next window. You move somebody 2 feet without, against their consent, it can be kidnapping. No joke. Especially if you're in a bank. Again, enjoying your content, but I also just now subscribed to your wife. You're in the drawing for that Ferrari because us women got to stick together. Yeah, and I'm sure you've already found the Johnny Scoville. And if you don't like my nepotism, there is 114 or 15 million other YouTube channels. Do you think the guy showing on the latest camera with the 2 backpacks is linked? Not a damn bit. He was 5 miles away. If you've never driven in the Catalina foothills, you ain't going 5 miles in 5 minutes. I don't care if you are a race car driver. What was that funny guy's name? I don't care if you're Dick Trickle. Swear to God, he was a race car driver.
How about the 1 mile? It feels like 5.
Yeah. Where I lived in the Catalina foothills, I was 1 mile, right, from one of the roads you would call a main road. It was paved and all that stuff. And I would go walk that 1 mile. And the first time I walked it, I was with Johnny Scoville. And he goes, how far do you think we just walked? I go, 3 miles, right? Something like that. Because it goes like this. It goes up, down, all this stuff. So we got in my car, a little Prius, and we drove out to see how far it was. It was 1 mile. I'm telling you, man, if you've never driven in the Catalina foothills, it is built in such a way so that you're not staring at the house next to you. And the way they do that is by going up hills, down hills, around corners. Every house doesn't have a view of the house next to it. It's a difficult thing to do unless you make some effed up roads, right? That go like this and up and down. You ain't driving one of those at 60, which is how fast you got to go if you want to get 5 minutes away in 5 minutes, right? I'd be doing a mile a minute. Yeah, it didn't happen. That dude definitely had nothing to do with it. I think it's interesting that her camera. Okay, so let me get back to the camera. I'm sorry, people. I get all over the place. And then I will. Ryan, what are they trying to cover up? And I'm not busting your hump, but people keep saying that the kidnapping is to cover up a murder. A murder is a shitload easier to get away with than a kidnapping, right? You murder somebody and you leave, and they bring in detectives to research the murder.
Let's just add a few potential charges.
Right? Shoot up a flare to get avoided, right? If you kidnap someone, you're bringing in every cyber person. You're bringing in the response team. You're bringing in the feds. It is a bad idea, right? If you're a potential criminal, pay attention. If you're trying to cover up a murder, just run away from the murder and hope that you didn't leave DNA behind. Because snatching the body, you got more chance of leaving DNA, picking someone up and carrying them the hell out of the house than you do leaving them dead on the ground. As far as the psych op goes, this is a risky ass psych op. When you do psych ops, this is what you want in a psych op. I'll give you a perfect example because they'll demonetize the crap out of me for this one too. I'll show you. You can actually have conversations. COVID-19, right? For real. You got a mask on, and science is saying that mask probably isn't stopping anything, but people are shitting all over you if you're not wearing it. They got the whole society doing this one. Science comes out and says that vaccine isn't going to make it so that you don't spread it. It's also not going to make it so that you that it's going to protect you from getting it. But everybody's fighting over it, right? Ready to kill each other over it. That's a psych op. This is an 84-year-old woman that got kidnapped, right? Or got killed. We don't know. But I don't see the cover up. And I may not be very bright. Honestly, I mean, maybe this is a psych op or a cover up and I'm not smart enough to see it, but I just don't see it. Kidnapping usually involves moving or confining a person, often for ransom. This is Sparkles, by the way, TC. With force or for a felony, while abduction is a broader term, sometimes used for taking someone by fraud or persuasion. By the way, I think it is worth mentioning that TC Sparkles was saying, no, there's a stick jammed behind that Nest camera. They used the stick to get that off. I think those flowers, by the way, she said this literally the first day she came to my channel. I never even thought of it. But it was something that, and at the time I went, yeah, this chick's crazy. But the first thing she said is, did you see all of the stuff on, there's sticks, flowers and stuff right by the front door. Sparkles is pretty sharp. How could anyone have thought of not bringing duct tape to cover up the lens? Christine, that makes a lot of sense. However, duct tape will pull DNA off of anything it touches. In fact, often there's a kind of duct tape that they use to lift fingerprints off with. Take a piece of duct tape at your house, go like this and put your thumb on it and watch what happens to that duct tape. And they manufacture duct tape in such a way that you can call the manufacturer and say, it's almost like rifling on a barrel. And they can say to you, that came out of batch 187. That went off on January the 3rd, 1998. And it was shipped off to 5 locations in no shit. Duct tape is scary for criminals. Now, if you're taking the camera with you, that's probably a decent thing. You could still use it, but it could tear your glove really easily. Duct tape's a hard thing to deal with, ripping and tearing and all that shit just with your hand. Post-it note would have worked, right? Post-it note would have been bad. There was a lot of things that you could have done to cover that. Spray paint, people say all the time. There's actually a website that you can go to that shows criminals that use spray paint on cameras. And more often than not, what happens is it just runs down and you see the person right through it. So a mouth light, Sassy Savage. That's exactly what it was. I had never heard of one. Somebody actually reached out to me. And they said that that is absolutely what it is. The mouth light is something that a lot of electricians use, or sometimes people that work on cars. If you're under a car, you don't want to have to hold a flashlight. So it's this thing you put in your mouth. But boy, oh boy, man, I don't want to keep something in my mouth. It's a good way to leak DNA out. In front door, back door guy allegedly buried in the desert. Backpack guy. In front door, back. They buried the backpack guy in the desert. I didn't hear that anywhere, Ken Walker, but email me wherever you got that from. So look, back to the cameras. I don't squirrel off. Don't give me shit. If you buy a camera, it has a 3-hour backup that you can use. Most people don't ever need to look at their camera from last week, right? 3 hours is plenty. You get a ding notification that someone's at your front door. It's not going to take you 3 hours to look at it. A lot of people go, I don't need a backup. In fact, most people don't buy the backup. The backup will buy you 30 days or whatever. You got to pay for that. You buy it and walk out the door, you get 3 hours, right? But it doesn't save it on that. It still saves it to the cloud, right? And then just like your phone, it's going to rewrite over it. You delete something in your phone, it doesn't go away. It just opens the space to tape over it. And if you're good at it, I guess you can go back and pull this shit off way longer than that. I heard they don't believe the ransom notifications were legit and came from another grifting source to take advantage of the situation. Is that still true? I am of the firm belief that there has never been a bank robber, a kidnapper on planet Earth that waited 50 hours to tell the family that they had kidnapped someone. That's not how it goes. Read the handbook, right? You leave a letter. You don't want, okay, I'm kidnapping your kid, right? Your name is Dave. I don't want Dave going to the FBI or to the cops. I want Dave to come home, realize his kid is gone, look in the crib and see a note from me. Want your kid? You don't call 911 and you don't call the FBI. You're going to get a hold of me. Here's how you're going to do it. Go buy your burner phone, right? Send an email to this address. Or here's an email. Go in there. There's a draft. Delete the draft and leave your message. Then I go back in. I look at his draft. I'm not sending emails. We're both accessing. There's a bunch of ways to communicate with people that makes it more difficult to track. But you don't say, I'm going to wait 50 hours and send it to Harvey freaking Levin. This doesn't smell like a criminal did this. It smells like something else and always has. Yeah, the backpack guy and his crew may be dead. I'm going to have to hear that before I roll with it. I really am. And if they are, that's the craziest shit in the whole world. Really. Now we got to start. If the crew that went and did the snatching of this woman are dead, then we're talking about some bad Jessies, right? You talk someone into doing this, and then you knock off the people you work with. You know who that is? That's I can't think of his name. Give me a minute. I'll think of it. TMZ is a joke, man. They really, really are, man. They really, really are. Cartel? I don't see this as a cartel. A lot of people are saying this. I could see somebody taking her across the border. Not smart, but I can see somebody taking her across the border. But I can't see somebody coming across the border to grab her, right? Cartel people stay in Mexico for a reason. You can pay off the officials if you get caught, right? Yeah. iRide says TMZ are in on it. Well, they're certainly making a shitload of money off of it. And Harvey Levin doesn't think this is about some woman named Nancy. He thinks it's about some guy named Harvey. I'm dying to know if Ashley Banfield's sources still supports the Annie Tavasso theory. I bet they still do. Again, if you just got here, if David and Goliath fought today, the safe money would be on the giant. David might win, but the good money would be on Goliath. You look at one of these cases and go, who do you like, right? You're not always going to be right, but the safe money on this one, pick the guy that has acted wrong from the second it happened. He's disappeared. Everyone else has been seen, right? We see all the siblings. He's missing in action. We don't see him anywhere. But the one time we did, he pulls a sweatshirt over his head. He puts his hand. He looked like he's a star, right? He's Leonardo DiCaprio on Melrose, right? Yeah, you can pay off authorities here, to be honest. Yeah, Anna Mirren, you can, but you got to pay off a shitload of them, and you have to have a lot of freaking money. A cop in Mexico makes about $400 a month. Run that through your dome, right? How easy is it to pay off somebody that makes $400 a month? If you say, I got 40 grand, they go, done. In the United States, the cop that you're working with probably makes 60 or 70. Mexico is a very different ballgame, and I'm not busting on it. It's a different culture. I live in a Latin American country. And baquiche, right? People get bribed here in a very different way than they do in the United States. I'm just saying. The sheriff is involved. Boy, he looks it. I don't know that that's going to hold up, but he sure as shit looks like he's involved, or he sure as shit looks like he doesn't want this solved because nothing he's done has made any sense. No homeless people, stormy weather. You're not going to find a lot of homeless people anywhere near the Catalina foothills. Reese, you can't just say, check out the channel. You got to spam that thing with your address. For the love of God. There you go. That's better. They should be requesting bus footage also, once again. So the Catalina foothills is Tucson, Arizona. But there aren't homeless people in the Catalina foothills. They're not going to be anywhere near that. This is a very affluent part of the city. And you just, that a girl. Proud of you. Papa Kenny Workshop says Ashley Banfield is in the Epstein files. Yeah, she is. But I covered Diddy for a long time, right? This right here is you may get the comment of the day. Swear to God, it blows my mind how calm the guy was. It was like he was too comfortable, in my opinion. Man, I robbed a crap load of banks. If I was walking up to somebody's front door, I wouldn't have looked that cool. I'm telling you right now, man. And Mom, I hope you're not still watching. But I went into a couple of houses I wasn't supposed to be in my life. Sorry. So did your other son. Just saying. There's nothing more uncomfortable on the face of the planet than being inside a home that doesn't belong to you. Even if you're in there to do a job, I can't explain it to you unless you've done it. It's a god-awful feeling. That dude walked up to that front door like he had no fear at all that there could be somebody inside with a shotgun. And most criminals are going up to that door assuming there's somebody in that house with a shotgun. He's got a light in his mouth. He was very, very calm. He was very relaxed. When he realized he couldn't get that thing off, he went over there to try to grab a stick or some shrubbery or whatever bullshit to try to jam that thing in. No, you know what? Believe it or not, this is probably amazing, but I'm actually going to disagree with this. And I appreciate you saying that. And I used to believe this wholeheartedly. But you know what it is? Sadly, it really is. Because no matter how nice I was or whatever, I walked up to a teller and said, give me all the money. I never said I got a bomb. I never waved a gun. But I scared the shit out of every woman I ripped off. And I don't know how long that takes to get over or whatever. You got to lay in a little concrete box for about 8 years to realize that. And the other thing is, if I go in and steal 20 or 30 grand from a bank, the Federal Deposit Insurance Corporation, FDIC, you've seen that? That's why the feds take it over, because the feds pay your money, right? If I took that out of the bank, they're not going to let the bank get hurt, right? Because it's your money that they're lending out. So the feds give them that money, and your taxes have to pay for that. So there are victims. It sure as shit isn't pistol whipping somebody. He did have a pistol, though. He did. Not 100% sure that pistol, I don't know what the deal is with that pistol. I'd like to see it out of the holster. For real. This may sound really dumb to you. You have no idea how many criminals get arrested with guns that aren't real. Tons. Because if you're already a convicted felon, if you get caught with a plastic gun, you're not getting 10 more years. Felon in possession of a firearm is an ugly sentence. Went to prison for it. I did more time for felon in possession of a firearm with no other crime attached to it than I did for robbing a bank. No, I ride. I'm glad that you said that because people say it all the time. And I wanted people to hear that from a bank robber. It's actually a great comment, and I appreciate you. But it's a lot different than pistol whipping somebody. It's a lot different than being violent. I never thought of it in those terms, and I wouldn't want to rob someone's home, right? I wouldn't. I broke into drug dealers' houses a couple of times. Well, I didn't. I walked in after my brother kicked the door in. He had aptitude. How can the sheriff withhold key evidence from the FBI? Isn't the FBI over the sheriff's department? It's really, really, 10 years if you're just holding one, Michael. The first time you can get 5 if you don't have a criminal record. But if your criminal record is anything over what they call a 2, so federal sentencing guideline sheets, if you're doing it in the commission of a felony, that goes from what's called a 912 to a 924, 924C. If you have a gun while you're doing another felony, that'll get you 20 years. Here's the thing. This is a really odd thing. The dynamic between the state and the feds is bizarre, right? And it's different in every state. When I got arrested, they had to have a sheriff come out and arrest me, and then the sheriff handed me over to the FBI because in the weird-ass state that I was in or the city or whatever, they arrest you locally and then they hand you to the feds. It was the strangest thing in the world. I don't think that the son-in-law slipped her something to make her be asleep. I do not. I don't. It's real. I mean, unless they're trying to kill her. Given a 84-year-old person, giving an 84-year-old person anything that is that much of a respiratory depressant, and if they know who she is, allegedly, she's taking opiates anyway, you give her anything else, and it's going to end up killing her, right? It's a bad thing. See, I don't understand why you would take her out of the house either. But so here's the thing. It also comes back to who has jurisdiction in this. Technically, the jurisdiction in this isn't the feds. That's why the local jurisdiction who is over this case has to call them in. And he should have called them in about 6 minutes after they realized what that inside of that crime scene looked like. And she has a pacemaker as well, Jennifer, correct. I don't think I would have been comfortable doping this woman up if I wanted to keep her alive. And if you don't want to keep her alive, then you kill her. There's no reason to drug her, right? I think that this is why people that, I talked about this on a bunch of my other shows. Do you know what the statistics are on elderly people getting kidnapped? They don't exist because no one's ever done it. Kidnapping somebody 84 years old is a nightmare. You know why? You kidnap kids because kids are incredibly resilient, right? You can say to them, no, this isn't a big deal. Listen, your mom and dad are taking care of some stuff. They asked me to make you hang out, watch video games. You're going to eat pizza. Everything is groovy. That's the kid you want to babysit. Drop them in front of a Game Boy and give them, what do you want? Chicken nuggets? Grabbing somebody that's 84, it's got 12 prescriptions they're taking and a friggin' pacemaker that can't walk more than 50 feet, right? And probably has to go to the bathroom a lot more often than you would imagine. Did I see a picture of a possible tattoo on an arm? I have not. Yeah, that's an interesting take. Michelle, that's an interesting take. Maybe they got knocked off because they weren't supposed to hurt the woman. Or they ended, If you go in there and you accidentally kill the person, right? That could get you killed. Yeah, Papa Kenny, you know something? This is something that my mother, Ma Scoville, if you're watching, it does seem full, right? Shows he had no intention of stealing. I think that's a pretty good take. Whatever was in there, whether this is a sicko that wanted to rape her, whatever, there were things in there, maybe like zip ties. And they maybe have, look, you're going to go in there and say, tat on a wrist. Oh, you mean they had a tat on the wrist. You're going to go in there and say, all right, now what I want you to do is go out and find some clothing to wear, right? Let's go into your closet. Maybe in there they had a pair of sweats. They wanted her to look a particular way. They were going to go in there and be ready to yank this woman out of bed, say, throw this on, so they didn't want to have to go through all that, then zip tie her ass or do whatever you're going to do. I could see why you would need some shit in a backpack. It does look kind of full. I'm not going to lie to you. It looks kind of full, but who knows? The tat looks like it might be a cross. Yeah, I have not seen that, but I will between now and the next show. She's a physical liability. Who said that? It's a great comment. This is a nightmare. Now you're not a kidnapper. You're a geriatric babysitter. I'd rather suck the tailpipe of an automobile and hold it like a bong hit than have to take care of somebody, no offense, Ma, somebody 85 years old, right? My mother I love. I would take care of her. But to grab somebody, it's the dumbest thing in the entire world. Eddie, love you, brother. Glad you're here. His estimated age is 30 to 50. I hope Nanos goes to prison. Yeah, kind of me too. Australia. Saw a tattoo on Megyn Kelly, I think. Oh, how about that? Wait, I'm just coming in. Are they saying the kidnapper is dead? No, I haven't heard that. No, what they're saying is there is a theory. I didn't hear it. Like I was telling people, I'm going to have to go look at this. But they said that they think Backpack Man may be buried in the desert. I'm not backing that. I read it out of a comment. I have to go and chase that down before I bring that to anyone. So clearly, there are people saying that. And it is a theory, and we float theories here. But if I come and tell you something, if it turns out to be bunk, very often I will end up taking down the video. I don't like putting out misinformation if I can avoid it. Like I really try to avoid that. For instance, when they were talking about Carlos and all that, I did a show on him. I killed that shit about 25 minutes in, 30 minutes in. I had a bunch of views, and then I got rid of it. I'm not going to I can't stand what happened to Carlos. I really can't. And if you're just listening, he's not a sex offender. If you heard that on another channel, if anybody else reported that and they're still leaving it up, they're scumbags. He's not a sex offender, right? Got someone with the same name that was. That person's 56. He's not 56. That was bad, and he deserves better than that. I think they thought Savannah would pay without proof of life, so they murdered her and buried her deep in the desert. And now they just bailed. RJ, here's the deal. If you're going to do that, then while you're there and you're tying her up and doing that, you take pictures of her. For real, right? You can crop out a timestamp and say, this is your mom. You want the money? But they don't even have proof that they have her. If you're a kidnapper, you got to at least prove you have the person. If not, we do exactly what we're doing now. Do you think it really was a ransom? Was there even people there? Do me a favor, hit that subscribe button, hit the bell for notification, and make sure you hit the thumbs up button. And I am going to end this, people. I would love to continue to talk to you, but I'm going to be doing it again at midnight. And I have this beautiful wife who says if I don't get enough sleep, I'm not getting any. You know what I mean? And I haven't been sleeping a lot. That's why I did less shows today. Also, I'm not going to come live just to get more money out of you. I'm not. You know, I would feel really messed up if I just had, 12 or 13 hours of filming the front of someone's house while everybody just had a chat moving at 7,000 miles an hour. They can't even talk to each other. I'm not mad at them. Maybe if I was there, I'd do it. Maybe if I still lived down the street, I'd be out there trying to get paid that way. But I like hearing myself talk. I like having a channel where everybody can actually interact with the guy that's hosting. Most channels don't do that. And I really enjoy the hell out of this. So if you'd like to catch me at midnight, you should do that. And if you want to see me back here tomorrow, then make sure you go by and hit subscribe at Relatable Reese, my wife's channel. I promise you, you'll thank me later. She's the funniest woman in the world. And of course, if you do, and you're here next live, you just have to put your name in there, and we put you in the drawing for a new Ferrari. That will be coming from me, not from the wife. Be shipping that from South America. Between now and the next time that I see you, make sure you go and do that. And I will be here tonight. If you've never seen our midnight show, we let the hair down, and Johnny Scoville actually gets to sit in front of the camera. Right? That would be Johnny from Chase the Heat. See, he's kind of famous. He has a silver play button. But you might want to hit it for him, too. That would be him. All right, people. I am Tommy. I will see you on the next one. God bless. Between now and then, put a little love in your heart and subscribe to my wife. I don't want to have to hurt you.